Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Auto Buying 101. We are so happy to have you here today. It is September the 11th, which is National Patriots Day, as we honor the victims of the 2011 terrorist attack. May we never forget. And also, it is Make Your Bed Day. Did you know that making your bed is supposed to improve your mood and lower your stress? How easy is that? It's also Library Remembrance Day. And I also wanted to let you guys know that on September the 25th, we're going to have an Align and Achieve Your Budget reboot. So if you're not spending towards your values, please come. We're going to have the amazing Andrew. He is a great, lively teacher, and he's going to be teaching that. And then on October the 9th, we're going to have our estate planning part 1 and part 2. So October is estate planning month. A little bit of housekeeping. We're not using the chat or the Q&A, but you can send your questions to webinars@patelco.org. And remember, we'll be emailing you a link to the presentation, so relax, enjoy yourself, listen to the information, because we're going to be sending you a link. This is a very timely webinar because I bought a car this year, it was a hybrid, so it has really great gas mileage, but the challenge is it's a black Honda Accord. Do you know how many cars that I have opened up and tried to get into that were not mine? It's like everywhere I went, there was a black Honda. So make sure when you get your car, it's not a black Honda, because then you'll be getting in my car. So I want to talk about our hosts tonight. We have the amazing Shannon. You guys are going to love her. So informative. She's had served Patelco members for 5 years, but she's been in the industry for 30 years. I think she started in middle school. And guess what? Only 1 out of every 50,000 people have 2 sets of twins. So Shannon has 2 sets of twins. Absolutely phenomenal. And she's ours, and we're proud of her, and we love her. And then we have Ivane. She's been in the industry for a while, but she's been in Patelco for 11 years. And you guys are not going to believe this. When you see her, she is a grandmother, and her grandchildren are multiplying. So come on in, Ivane. We love to have you come and introduce yourself and say hello to our members. And by the way, right now, I'm going to launch a poll.
Thank you so much, Veronica. Welcome, everyone. We're excited to have you today learn more about the auto buying process. That introduction was wonderful, so thank you so much. Yes, I am a grandmother, and not many believe me, but it is true. So we're going to start out with this poll here. How many of you are in the buying process today, and when will you be purchasing this car? If you can just help us out, fill out this questionnaire here, letting us kind of know where you are in this buying process, that would be great. We'd like to give you more information regarding, the timelines of purchasing cars, and just kind of get a feel of where you are today. So we'll go ahead and let you fill out those questionnaires. And while we're doing that, I'm going to hand it over to Shannon, and we're going to talk a little bit about some things that you might not know. So Shannon, go ahead and take it away.
Good evening, and Veronica, yes, thank you so much for all the compliments. Make me feel so good. I never get that from my children, so I appreciate that. I just kind of wanted to start with a couple of did you knows. Right now, inventory, there is a ton of inventory out there. Vehicles are sitting on a dealership lot for an average of 65 days. That is good for the consumer because that gives you more opportunities to negotiate, to compare to see if there's something that your budget will allow you to get that you didn't think that you could, or maybe just options or something like that. So there's a ton of cars out there, lots to choose from. And with that, you can always just keep in mind that going to a local dealer and asking if there is incentives on maybe excess units that they have. Maybe there's a make or model that they have an abundance of that they're looking to get off the lot to bring in some new inventory. Potentially that's something that can save you some money and get you in the car of your dreams at a good price. Color is another consideration. If you are not set on particular color, Veronica was mentioning a black car before. She said that she was getting into other people's cars. My first thought was washing it. I always drive white cars because it doesn't show dirt. But maybe, there's a red car or something, a off color, or maybe it's, again, like too many of one color, something that a dealership is willing to have an incentive on, or, price accordingly because they're just wanting to move that unit. Also, the average price for a new car in May of 2024 has actually gone down just about $400 opposed to the same time the previous year of 2023. The average list price of new cars was $49,000 in January of 2024, down from $50,000 in August of 2023. And then in addition to that, the used car market is just going strong right now. There's a big need for it, but there is a shortage of certified pre-owned, and that can actually make for a buyer's market.
So I just want to add here, just if you can take a look at our poll, we see that there are a lot of folks looking to purchase, it says within 60 months, but I believe that might mean 6 months or 60, it could be, but a lot of folks are in the market, within 60 days, you see 24% here. So because of that, this information is going to be very useful for you today, and we're excited to share more about this buying process. So Shannon, I'll go ahead and let you continue.
If we could move on to the next slide. Some fun facts. I was looking into this because this came across my desk, and as part of the slide, there was a couple that kind of piqued my interest. One of which the 90% of people admit to singing in their cars. That actually just kind of drew me in right away because I am one of those 90%. And I love singing in the car. It gets me through a lot of traffic. And, now with all of technology and all the abilities to just sync your own music to the car, it's really fun because you always know the words, right? And then the other one, I looked into this in 1902 was the first speeding ticket. And during that time, most cars could barely reach 45 miles an hour. I actually looked into this story, and it was just such a funny story that I just kind of wanted to pass it on. It was a man that was given a ticket. He was going 12 miles an hour, and he was in an 8-mile-an-hour zone. And he was actually pulled over by an officer on a bicycle. And he was handed the first ticket, and there was a dispute about it being technically the first ticket because in the late 1800s, a person had gotten a ticket, but it was a verbal ticket that was paid. So this was the first handwritten ticket, and I thought that was just kind of fun. So from there, we can change slides and get into today's focus. I'm going to just kind of briefly go over some of these. You can kind of look at the screen and kind of know where I'm going with it. But just before you go shopping, definitely do your research with technology that's out there and the ability to go online and do your homework before going to the dealership. It's really a great way, to go in and have some knowledge, know what you're talking about, and feel comfortable speaking to the dealership when you're there. We'll discuss how much we can afford. Knowing the true cost to own a car, because that's definitely different than, how much the payment is as far as how much you can afford. Choosing the right vehicle for you and considering new or used as far as legal responsibilities. And then we'll just go into the importance of checking credit scores and financing. With this, if we could just go back to that one slide just real quick. With this, I just kind of wanted to touch on choosing the right vehicle. There's wants versus needs kind of a thing, and depending on where you are with your budget or where you are, in my particular situation, I have 5 kids at home still, so I'm definitely going to be looking for something that's going to be more of an SUV or a van or something like that. In Ivania's situation, maybe with grandkids, she's going to want that too, but she may be in a situation where she's going to want a sports car or something because, you know, her kids are grown and gone, you know. So just kind of knowing your own situation, being practical with that, and knowing, you know, what's going to fit your lifestyle. You know, we live, you know, in a state that, you know, we're real close to the mountains and we're real close to the beach. So maybe we want 4-wheel drive or something like that. And so with those features comes, you know, additional costs. So knowing what's going to fit into your budget is, you know, it all plays a part. It's just keeping that in mind so we don't get kind of crazy at the dealership. Before you go shopping, knowing how much you can deposit, or rather a down payment. And, you know, when you are considering going into a dealership and when you're considering the financing, or, you know, if you're not paying cash, you're going to want to know how much your payment is. You're going to want to know, you know, if it's something that you can make on a monthly payment for the full term of the loan. And so the down payment is going to be important because maybe you're thinking you can go in with 0 down and you're going to have more of a payment, or maybe you're thinking I can put $1,000 down and, you know, lower my monthly payment. So it's kind of just, you know, do you want to pay more now and have a lesser payment, or vice versa? Just something to consider. Know what you can afford monthly. A little tidbit of information on this is that, you know, economists will suggest that less than 10% of your take-home pay should be your car payment. So less than 20% total of your take-home pay should be your overall cost for the vehicle. So when you're considering a payment, and can I afford $300 a month or $400 a month or whatever, you know, you're looking to spend, keep in mind that in addition to that, you know, you're going to have other expenses, insurances, and, you know, wear and tear on the car is going to cause you to have to make, you know, different purchases, you know, throughout the term of your loan. So that is just something you're going to want to consider. We can go into that in more detail later. And then shop around and compare prices. And with that, just keep in mind, again, the car, you know, is it going to be a Highline? Is it going to be something economical? Is it going to be a hybrid? Doing your homework. You know, you have the opportunity now versus, you know, prior years past, of being able to just go on the line, you know, go online in your pajamas or whatever from the comfort of your couch and be able to really, you know, do your homework. And I think it's 7 hours or something like that, I think, is the average that people spend looking for a car, because it's a big purchase. You want to be sure that it's going to be the right one for you, and you're not going to want to be stuck in something that you're not going to like for long term. So, you know, there's a lot of ways that you can go online. There's, you know, different websites and auto traders and cars.com and things like that. And we actually on our Patelco website have a link as well, and we'll go into that in a little bit of detail later. But, you know, going online, you know, searching by make and model, year of unit, and then being able to compare all the dealerships in the areas versus getting in your car and physically driving around town and looking at what's around. It's also a great way to, you know, compare prices. You know, am I wanting a black Honda Accord, and, you know, am I looking at the 2023 models, and am I looking at them fairly when I see that 2 dealerships have them, but they're priced $2,000 difference? You know, what is making that $2,000 difference? Is it the options? Is it the miles? Is it new versus used? And, you know, in researching, there's also, you know, car history reports, Carfax being one of them. And it's a great tool. And I always recommend looking at the report. Many dealerships will even offer them for free, or even are tagged in on the online listing. And what that is a great tool. So, you know, is it a 1 owner? Is it, you know, a 5 owner? Maybe it's a 2-year-old car and it's been traded in several times. You know, why would that be? Is something wrong with it? You know, something to just, you know, ask the dealer. Has it been in an accident? You know, if the car has been in an accident, typically it'll go for a little bit less. And so, you know, that's, you know, if it's been repaired properly, that's not typically a big deal, and that's to your advantage. You know, if you don't want a car that's been in an accident, you're willing to pay a little bit more for it, that's great too. But you have those tools available for you, and a Carfax will give you that information. There's also the ability to request an inspection. And I don't know that a lot of people take advantage of this because it's typically at the consumer's expense. But especially with the used car, you're not 100% certain what you're taking on. You're not sure if, what the dealer is telling you is right or not, and they have inspections of their own. And 99% of the dealers are credible and reputable, and they're not going to put themselves in jeopardy of selling you a car that's not quality. But for peace of mind, it's an option to request an inspection. And basically what that is you would set up a time for the vehicle to be at a mechanic of your choice. And most dealers will accommodate that. But again, it's at your expense. And then you have the opportunity to have a third party looking at that unit, giving it a full run through, and then telling you, it's a great car. I would definitely, suggest buying it. Or, there's this, and this wrong with it. And I don't know if you don't want to fix it, you can walk away from that and pick something else, or it gives you negotiation power to get the car maybe for less, or maybe even have the dealer fix it. Those are all things that you can kind of negotiate, but it gives you the power to do that. And then lastly, a used car guide is typically a window sticker, and it's on the used car on the actual window. And it will just give you information as far as if it is an as-is unit, if the dealership is offering some sort of, 3-month, 3,000-mile warranty on the vehicle, or if there's major defects. So all of these things are something to consider. Just to give you, one, more purchasing power, because you're able with this information to make your dollar go further, but also to just be knowledgeable of what you're taking on. Slide. Choosing Patelco for financing. There are a few great ways to secure a loan with Patelco. We are proud to be able to offer direct through our local branches, and you can do that both in person, or you can call our virtual branch, and they are able to take applications and give you a pre-qualification over the phone as well. And then there's also partner dealerships all around California that you can go to, and they can submit loans on your behalf as well. So there's, we just want to make it easy for you, whatever your comfort level is, benefits to all of the above, but we just want you to be able to do what works for you and help make your purchase a great experience. With that, having financing options and knowing your financing options as far as loan amounts, interest rates, and repayment terms are helpful too to take to the dealership. Slide. This is a tool that is, again, on our Patelco website, and it's kind of going back to what I talked to earlier. And it's a great tool in that you can plug in your down payment, your interest rate, which we'll talk, Vani will talk about a little bit later as far as how you can kind of know what rate to secure. But you can put in, do I want a 60-month loan? Do I want a 84-month loan? Things like that. And you can kind of have this like a slide bar that gives you the opportunity to kind of calculate what your payment would be based on those figures that you plug in. Really, it's a great tool, not only to know if, does 84 months make a difference versus 72 months? Do I really want to lock myself in that much? Or can I afford, to pay a little bit of a bigger payment and have a shorter term? But, it also will keep you from getting sticker shock at the dealership, because I know from my experiences, you go in there thinking, oh, in my head, it's going to be a $300 payment, and you don't realize that it's going to be a $500 payment or something like that. So just kind of being practical and knowing what to expect. This is one of those great tools that you can utilize. I just want to say too, with this last one, just a little tidbit. My son was recently in the market to buy a car, and he's 20 years old, and this is his first car. And in playing with these numbers, he was thinking, oh, in my head, I can afford, $412 payment. And I was kind of talking on behalf of, other things that go into the cost of the car. And is this something that you can really afford? And he said, oh, I can do it. And I said, well, you know what a great tip is? Why don't you take that $412 every month and put it in a savings account and see if you are sacrificing anything? So I noticed in the poll, there was, mention of, 6 months, year, whatever, 18 months down the road, a lot of you are looking to buy a car. So that might be a way to know if it's something you can afford. Are you going to be making sacrifices? If to afford that $400 in 18-month payment, are you going to have to sacrifice going to the movies and eating out twice a month or something like that? But it was kind of funny because my son, who thought he knew everything, as it turns out, he realized, that's a lot. It's cutting into my budget. So anyway, just something to consider, if you're looking to buy a car down the road, it's a great little tip. Just throw that money into a savings account if you can do it. And, it's a great way to kind of save for a down payment as well. So that's my little tip. Let's go to the next slide. AutoSmart is another tool that we have. It is on our Patelco website as well. And as I mentioned before, we have partnered with many dealerships throughout California, and it is a very user-friendly tool on the Patelco website. And it basically allows you to do all of the above. It really is a one-stop kind of an experience, and that's what it's designed to do. And it allows you to browse thousands of cars. So basically what happens is dealer inventory gets sent over to us. So as you are looking, you're basically seeing the inventory that the dealers have, very similar to an auto trader or anything like that. And again, like I mentioned, it allows you to research and compare various makes and models, as well as the safety features, technology, all the above, but it allows you to do it again from the comfort of your own home, and allows you to kind of, compare apples for apples, the different vehicles that you're looking at, even if they're different makes and models. Some makes and models will have different features. And if you're really set on, an all-wheel drive vehicle, not every car is all-wheel drive. So it's just something that you can do to kind of research and do your homework before driving all over town and wasting time only to find out that that's not really what you were looking for. It also gives you the ability to check your trade-in values. And with this particular one, I just kind of want to point out that, in working with a lot of the dealerships for the last 30 years, I've seen so many times people come in and they're thinking their car is worth $20,000 and the dealer's only offering them 15. And so they get very frustrated. And, not everybody has checked their trade-in value or kind of knows what it's worth. They just kind of know that there's a set dollar amount in their head. So what's kind of neat about this tool is just to be realistic. And, with my car, there's a million French fries in my car because of my kids. And, there's a couple of scratches, and there's, backpacks that have been thrown in there. So the seats aren't super new anymore. Be realistic. It's not a brand new vehicle, it's used, and, plug in your miles, plug in the condition, and get a true value of your car. That being said, you'll probably make more money selling a private party. So that's something to consider. Or, as a trade-in to a dealership, you have to consider what that dealer needs to do to get it frontline ready, much like the car that you're looking to buy, where you're wanting it to be shiny and as clean and new as possible. They're going to do that with your car, which means they're going to recondition it. They're going to run it through a mechanic themselves. They're going to do safety inspections. They're going to make sure that it's all ready to go to the best of their ability to get it on the front line. So that there is costs involved with that. So just kind of knowing, what the value is, kind of having a number in your head, and then being able to negotiate from there is a great tool. But it'll save you a lot of frustration, once you're at the dealership, because that is one of the parts of a auto purchase, if you were trading in one of your vehicles, that can be really frustrating. Negotiating your price and contact local dealers directly. You can do that through AutoSmart. We provide you with the information, and you're able to call them directly, see if the car is still available, to let them know you're coming in, make an appointment, do a test drive, and then it's possible that you can negotiate the price with the dealership right online. Let them know you're willing to spend $20,000. Is that something they would even consider? Again, before driving down there. Payment calculators are kind of what I mentioned before, but there's several online. And get pre-approved online with Patelco, and then head to the dealer. Slide. We have partnered with Enterprise to offer a 1% discount on loans up to 60 months. There are several locations in Northern California, in the Bay Area, and Central California, and they have a great amount of inventory to choose from. And this is an opportunity for you to get a pretty nice 1% discount through those dealerships. Slide. This is the true cost of buying a car. In addition to the payment, there are so many things to consider. You know, most of us on this call have probably owned a car before, but I'm sure there's several like my son that have not. And, you know, there are unexpected things, you know, when you buy a car that you're not necessarily thinking of. And budgets are tight right now. And this is definitely an important one to consider. So I'm just going to take a little bit of time going over some of the more important ones. First and foremost, auto insurance. It is my recommendation to call your insurance company prior to buying the car. You very well might get kind of shocked at what the prices can be. You know, if you're trading in a 2010 Ford Explorer for a 2023 Audi or something like that. It can be a huge swing, $100, $150 a month just in additional charges. In the insurance alone. So kind of to avoid that before you're locked into a contract and you've signed on the dotted line at the dealership, my suggestion is to call your insurance company. If you've narrowed it down to 2 or 3 different cars, just call them and let them know what you're considering doing. And with very little information, they can give you a quote so you kind of know what to expect. Gas or charging costs, that fluctuates. So kind of, if it were me, I would, expect the worst. And then if gas goes down, we can all be pleasantly surprised and have a little bit of money extra at the end of the month. But, gas is very expensive. And again, if you're buying a hybrid or if you're buying a, compact car versus buying a lifted 4-wheel drive, you're going to have a significant difference in the miles per gallon on what that car takes. So just something to consider, something to be realistic about. Tolls, parking, repairs. If you are buying a car, and even if you're buying a warranty, if you have an unexpected expense with the windshield, you're driving down the freeway and you get a crack in your windshield, insurance may or may not cover it. And even if it does, odds are there's going to be a deductible. Is that an extra expense that you can just, pay out? Registration and other fees, regular maintenance. Again, even with a warranty, typically you're not going to have oil changes. You're covered. You're not going to have, tires. You're not going to have windshield wipers. All of those things are things that are just an added expense. That's to consider. You don't want to be struggling on making a payment and having to, be paycheck to paycheck for your payment, only to have something like that, put a kink in it and cause problems at the end of the month. I think that's pretty much it on this one. We can probably go to the next slide. New versus used, things to consider. There are advantages and disadvantages to both. Knowing the price difference, knowing manufacturer's warranty, all of these things are things to consider. With a new car, you're going to pay a little bit more, but you probably won't have as many maintenance expenses right off of the bat. So it's kind of nice that it's kind of shiny and brand new. The history of the car, what you're getting into. A lot of times you can pick your own features, as far as customization. You can, if you're looking 6 months down the road, with a few $100s deposit, you could probably go into a dealership and customize and build to order your own car. Technology is definitely an advancement. Cars are just like changing daily. So as far as, how high tech do you want your vehicle to be? I know personally, I've seen the cars that self-park and parallel park. Would love to have that. I don't have one, but I would love it. My husband would love it. So, just for me, that would be just a huge advantage. And there's safety issues. A lot of the newer cars have a ton of airbags and a ton of, impact controls. So if you do get, sideswiped or something, you're going to walk away from that. Insurances and taxes, however, will be more expensive. With technology, going back to that one, if something does go wrong, you're going to have, a big cost to be incurred, to get it fixed. So keep in mind, as with all those new gadgets, they're fun and great, but if it does need to be fixed or repaired or whatever, unless it falls under a recall, that's, going to be an added expense. A lot of the newer cars are better on gas mileage, so that's a lesser expense. So kind of as you can see with this slide, there's pros and cons, and it's just weighing what's going to work out best for you. Next slide. With used cars, you basically have the same thing, but the opposite of what we were just talking about. So you're going to have a lesser price up front. The majority of the depreciation on a new car is within the first year. And it can typically, on a highline vehicle, or depending on the make and model, it can be up to 30% of a depreciation value on a new car right out of the gate, right when you drive that car off the lot. Whereas a used car, you're to and on, you're going to take on a much less depreciation value with that car. You've kind of let somebody else take that first initial hit, and then now you're coming in and getting a discount on the car because you're not buying it new, and you're also taking less depreciation over the term of your loan that you're going to have it, or the time that you own the car. Financing, there's certified pre-owned cars, there's used cars that are not certified, and know your options with that as well. Sometimes on a newer car, you're going to have a incentive, you're going to have a rebate, you're going to have something that a used car wouldn't offer. But with a new car, again, you're just going to pay a lot more upfront. A used car, you're talking multiple owners potentially, and you're talking about repairs that are unknown, really, because it's used. You don't know where it's coming from. You don't know where it's been. And that's where you're going to really want to consider, warranties. You're going to want to consider, what the trade-off is for you and how long you're going to have the car. Are you going to have the car for 10 years? Are you going to have it for 5? Are you going to, is it a car that is a commuter car and maybe you're going to put 1 million miles on it? So maybe you don't want to put all the wear and tear on a new unit, and a used car is the way to go. A reliable, Honda, like Veronica is talking about, or something like that. Cars now go for a very, very long time. And so, it's really just what is better for you. And then lastly, with the used car, because they are typically, more cost effective, you have maybe the opportunity of buying a highline versus a standard vehicle or something, because you're able to kind of weigh the pros and cons. Do I want a new standard car or a used highline? So whatever works for you, just something to consider, again, because you're going to be driving this car, you're in your car for a long time. At least I am on the road constantly. I am in and out of my car. It's basically a second home to me, and I want to like my car. So for that reason, it's like, I want the features and I want the this, that, and the other. And, it's okay if I put 1 million miles on it, because I am going to have it for 10 years. So it's just really what works for you. Next slide. We've kind of talked about new and used and what suits your needs and your lifestyle. The one thing that we haven't talked about yet is leasing a car versus buying a car. Leases are an option that are offered at the dealership. It can be a good choice if you want to have set payments, if you are going to have a car for a short period of time. Typically, you have lesser down payment, you have less out-of-pocket upfront costs as far as repairs and upkeep. So that's a positive. That being said, there are mile restrictions on leases, and every make and model is different. So you would want to do your homework on that if you're even considering a lease, because there are a lot of small prints with leases. So those can add up really fast when you're going to turn your car in at the end of the 3 or 4 years, only to find out that you owe $2,500 because you've gone over on mileage, or whatever. And when you do turn in the car, you don't have any equity in that car. It's basically a rental, or, you're borrowing it. You don't have the opportunity to customize it. Typically, you don't have the opportunity to, just get in the car and go cross country 10 times, because it's going to cost you. Where buying the car is maybe it's going to require a bigger down payment to get you into the car, or maybe it's going to cost you a little bit more because the repairs, are going to be on you. But you do own it at the end of your term, and you have the potential for equity as far as trading it in down the road, and you don't have any restrictions. You can customize it how you want. You can tint those windows, you can add the big tires, you can, whatever it is that you want to do, you have the opportunity to do that because you're not turning it back in with any kind of expectations at the end. Next slide. So warranty versus no warranty. I just want to kind of just start this one off with, there's a ton of warranties out there. So depending on what dealership you go to, they are going to have partnered with different warranty companies, and every warranty company has something different. And Patelco has something different with the warranties we offer. These are all things you're going to want to consider. Read the small print, read what is considered, a part of what is included in the warranties, and part of what is available to you through those warranties. Is the whatever. I mean, there's a million different things that can be included in a warranty, and then there's some things that can't. There's some things. My husband has a truck, and the electrical panel went out on the radio, and we just assumed that would be part of the warranty. Come to find out, they didn't cover all electrical options because some of the electrical is considered normal wear and tear. So even though it was just the panel that went out and whatever. So, things like that are definitely something to consider when you buy a warranty. This is just kind of a breakdown of some of the average costs. California definitely costs a lot more than other states to get things repaired, and with the repair comes labor. This does not include labor charges. So as you're kind of looking around, and I'm sure in your own experiences, you've had different things that have gone wrong with your car. You've taken it in to get serviced, you've taken it in, and oh, this is going out, or oh, that's going out, or you're on the side of the road and you don't know what's going to happen, and only to find out that you're strapped with this really expensive charge for something that seems so minor. So just taking into consider where you are financially, where you want to be as far as if something does go wrong, is it in your best interest to buy a warranty and just have it covered, or is it going to be better to just roll the dice and go for kind of the out of pocket? Keeping in kind of consideration everything that we've talked about prior, different makes and models are going to have different prices for the warranties. So of course, a Highline unit is going to be a bigger expense on a warranty than a standard unit. And kind of knowing that and negotiating with the dealership, as far as costs, you can do that, but just kind of keep in mind that warranties, they do have a built-in price, and the dealership definitely does want to make a little bit of money off of it, and but they really are a good kind of a protection for a expense. It's like a car is not a cheap purchase. It's something that is in my mind, a big purchase, second to a house. It's a good expense. And, every time you go to the grocery store and you buy a blender or something, they're asking you if you want a warranty on it. That I don't know, but this, I think that they're good if you read the small print again, know what's included. And then just know that with, again, technology, the prices of repairing things can get very costly very fast. Next slide. Legal responsibilities. Knowing your insurance requirements, they vary by state. So just knowing what is required, as far as knowing that you will be protected as well as the car. Registration requirements on the DMV websites. It will give you information as far as registration and release of liability as well. That really applies if you're doing private party There's a form through the DMV that you can get to release the liability of the car from yourself onto somebody else, as well as being able to, at a dealership, they will be able to provide that to you. But same thing, it's going to be a form that you're going to sign from the dealership, basically giving your car over to the dealer, as well as legal responsibilities to repay the loan or lease. I'm going to turn it over to Ivani, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon, so much for all of that helpful information. I know it was a mouthful. It's a lot to take in. So we are here to help you all through this process. And as you're thinking about your budget, Shannon mentioned knowing how much you can afford monthly is important, but also knowing your credit goes hand in hand. And so this example here is really to demonstrate kind of the effects of what you might receive or hear when you have a credit score within these ranges. So from 300 to 629, you may find that it's difficult gaining approval, secured credit in most cases. Through 630 and 689, you might have more of a chance of approval, so a 50-50. And then and also receive moderate interest rates. Whereas if you have 690 through 730, you're most likely approved at most places and you'll receive good interest rates. And anything above 730, you're going to find the best interest rates. You're going to find promotional APRs, incentives, perks, those kind of things, with the best credit. So when it comes to scoring, what are some of the factors that we consider when approving loans? I want you to look here at this graph. We are looking at 35% being your payment history. How well have you paid off your existing credit and loans and payments? How long have you been making them? 30% here is the amount owed. And so how much debt do you carry versus how much credit are you eligible for? Are your credit cards max? Do you have high limits with, maybe low balances? So things to consider, as Shannon mentioned, you really want to take a look at these scoring factors. 15% is the length of credit history. And so how long have you been establishing credit and borrowing money to pay it back? 10% is new credit, the amount of credit that's pulled in the last couple months, and then also 10% types of credit. And so a variety of credit helps establish good credit. So you want the diversity, as well as, how many types of loans do you have in your credit profile, and have you managed them well? So all of these factors are considered when you are applying for a loan. When it comes to monitoring your credit, it's always in your best interest to review your credit report. And so you can do this for free at annualcreditreport.com. We've also listed each of the credit bureaus here, so you can see the information and contact info for each of them, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. You can actually go to each of these individually, and you can look up your credit report free per year. And so you definitely can go to them directly. Also, if you are looking to find out your exact score, there is an additional fee. But again, you can always go back to annualcreditreport.com for free once a year to receive your report. So what if your score is low? What are some of the things that we can do in that case? Depending on your credit score and history, subject to eligibility, you can possibly, apply with a cosigner. Also, we encourage you that when you are thinking about getting a loan, you want to try and improve your score and possibly get the loan on your own. And what are some of the ways that you can do that to make sure that you can qualify? Always pay on time. Make sure your debt is current and paid on time. Pay down any existing debt that you might have. Avoid taking on any additional debt during the period that you may be considering purchasing a vehicle. Pay collection accounts if you can, and then also keep old accounts. A lot of the times we will suggest to maintain a credit card relationship, not to close it out, so that you can show the record of that history being established. So it's always a good kind of thing to keep at the back of your mind. Maybe not so much closing out a credit card would be the best in your best interest. When it comes to financing terms, before you sign any loan documents, you want to make sure you understand those terms. A lot of the times we'll negotiate, sit down with the finance manager, and we'll want to talk about different options, different scenarios, hypothetical, outcomes. And so with that being said, you want to make sure that you're looking at your purchase contract. You want to look at the amount financed. You want to make sure that that APR is accurate to what you've agreed on. And also your finance charges. Are there any additional charges that are being listed that you're unfamiliar with? When it comes to the payment amount and the number of payments that you make, you want to make sure that that reflects exactly to what you agreed to. And then were there any additional fees? Sometimes it's just best to review that, making sure that, if you spoke about a warranty and, it's not the same figure that you spoke about, you want to make sure that it's accurate and reflects on the purchase agreement. So when it comes to getting financing, Patelco is here to help you. We are available within our branches and virtual branch to help you understand where you are in this buying process. Maybe you're looking to set a budget. Maybe you're looking to check your credit score. Maybe you're looking to check your rate. We can actually help you with that. Patelco offers, competitive rates when it comes to auto loans, and you can become pre-approved before you go shopping. And that sometimes can give you a little bit of buying power there to speak only about the purchase of the vehicle, the price of the vehicle versus the financing. So keep that in mind, take a look at that. We also offer 90 days of deferred loan payments. So if you want to extend that out a little bit further, we can accommodate that as well. So when it comes to financial coaching, Patelco offers what's called Certified Financial Specialist. It's a free consultation that you can sit down with one of our representatives and speak about any of your questions that you might have when it comes to either comparing, different types of loan products, or possibly you want to set a budget, start saving your funds for a down payment. Maybe you're looking to reduce your debt and you're not sure how to go about that. We're here to help. We're here to help rebuild your credit as well. And so you can do this by sitting down with one of our certified financial specialists. You can do it within our branches as well as virtual branch. And there is a link here, patelco.org/financial journey, that you can also follow for more information. So we have a couple of products that we'd like to highlight tonight. For us, it's really important to keep our members' best interests at heart. And so these two products we're very proud of. The first one here is Score Up, our credit builder loan. Score Up is it's to help establish or rebuild credit. And so you don't need credit to begin. There's no upfront cost. This is your loan amount is actually going to be the amount that you end up saving. And so the loan funds will not have immediate access, but you'll choose your term and how many months you'd like to select. And each payment builds your credit history in a savings account. And then once you've completed the full term, you will have received the money in your savings account, and it offers the opportunity to build your credit along the way as you're making the payments each month. The nice thing about this product is there is payment assistance. So if for any reason a loan goes delinquent, maybe 25 days or more, the loan will automatically be closed and it will be paid in full and show paid in full on your credit report. This helps ensure that the credit isn't negatively impacted and by that delinquency, and so you'll always be reporting positively to the credit bureaus. The other product that we are very proud of is our Level Up product, and our Level Up product is an automatic rate reduction. This is something that folks don't have to sign up for or apply for. This is automatically done with our eligible loans, which auto loans are one of them. And you can receive up to 0.5% each year for making on-time payments. So Over the course of the loan, you can actually have your rate reduced by 1.5% over that life of the loan. So this is, again, an automatic rate reduction. You don't have to opt into it. It's something that we do for our members to help them save. Maybe in the case of initially when they applied for the loan, they didn't get the best rate that they desired. This is a way to help them save money automatically without them having to apply for this rate reduction. So these are two products that we are very proud of. If you have any questions, please let us know. We are available, like I mentioned before, through our virtual branch. And so you can reach out to us. We can schedule an appointment. Virtual branch has a convenient link that allows you to either meet now through, like we're doing right now, a Zoom session, or you can make an appointment as well. You can also visit us at one of our branches. We have branches located throughout Northern California, as well as their QR code is here if you'd like to click on that link. We do have this webinar, this webinar address that you can send an email to if you have any questions. For any questions that you may have from today's presentation, please do reach out to us. We are here to support you. We want to make sure that we are available throughout your buying process and that you have your questions answered. So what are some of the takeaways that we learned today? Reviewing your budget, making sure we understand what the costs are, for the vehicle that we desire. Making sure that we're doing our homework and research when it comes to the comparisons of the different vehicles, the prices and the best years, those vehicles were made. Looking at the warranties and making sure that each of those warranties reflect our needs. And so we really want you to be thorough, while you are going through this buying process. Make sure, again, that you're checking those purchase agreements, that they all align with the negotiating that has taken place and what you agreed upon. And again, we're here to help. Utilize all of the references that we've mentioned when it comes to resources. So if you are looking to do an auto smart search, definitely go through the link we've provided. If you want to take advantage of that 1% with Enterprise, utilize your resources. Our certified financial specialists are here to work with you, making sure that we're here to support any and all questions that you might have. You can, again, email us at thiswebinars@patelco.org. And most of all, please do enjoy your purchase and enjoy the ride. I want to say thank you to Shannon and Veronica tonight for hosting and helping to present today's webinar. We appreciate all of your attendance. Have a great evening, everyone.
Great job.
Good job. It's over.
It's
Great
over.
job.
Did we end it? Because I didn't, you had the link, right?
I ended it.
Okay.
I ended it.
All right.